Ah, looks like we're up and running. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is the evening of Thursday, September, what is today? 1st, 2022. And I know there's a lot going up here tonight. I know a lot of people are talking. I know there are a lot of live streams going on. I was thinking that maybe I shouldn't do this tonight, but I didn't want anybody to think that I was ignoring the whole issue on 5 by 5. Thank you very much. So I'll just get into it. This isn't going to be long, at least I'm not planning on it being long. If you go into the description box below, there is a link to an article. Well, actually, it's my tweet. It's a tweet that I put out the other day, maybe this morning, I don't know, in the last 24, 48 hours. And it's commenting on an article that was written by, they say it's a group of people, although they write as if it's one single individual. It's called the Conservative Treehouse, and on YouTube, I'm sorry, on Twitter, it's known as The Last Refuge. As I mentioned the other day, he and I have had, or they and I, have had a couple of cross swords on things, but by and large, uh, they've been very good and have given a lot of good information. And what that article is about, and I know I've talked about it before, I just want to make sure that everybody knows, and again, it's in the description box below, that the intelligence community is our most dangerous domestic enemy. And you could even just take out domestic there and just say the intelligence community is our most dangerous enemy. Now, The Last Refuge, the Conservative Treehouse, it's a rather lengthy article, but it's well documented and he explains everything in there. I put out on Twitter and also on my community posts. If you go up above in my channel here, there's the community tab. You can click on that. Right now, the first thing you'll see, if they haven't taken it down, is a picture of Biden doing his address tonight. And I wrote right there, this says everything, basically. And if you go to the next post down from that, that has some excerpts from the Last Refuge's article on the intelligence community and how it is the fourth branch of government, that it has usurped basically the other three branches that are really dysfunctional at this point, and take all of their marching orders from the fourth branch of government, which is supposed to be the people. Actually, the first branch of government is supposed to be the people, but how the intelligence community has usurped all of that and controls everything. It gets pretty detailed, and it's rather long, but I really think that you need to read it. Because those are the exact same things now that I've been saying for years. And of course, as I just mentioned, the motto of my channel, the intelligence community is our most dangerous domestic enemy, and in fact, our most dangerous enemy, period. They are not doing what they do to secure you in your God given rights. Okay, they're not there for that. And that's the case with all the intelligence agencies, especially the Five Eyes countries. Okay. So that's the first thing, because what I'm going to say in the next few minutes will have a lot to do with what he says in that article. All right, so please take the time to read it. We're in a lot of danger. Secret societies have taken over our governments, indeed our very lives, and we don't even know it. We're worshiping some evil, evil entities at this point. Okay, so as most of you know, Biden gave a talk tonight. We knew it was going to be bad, and frankly, I'll just be honest with you, I didn't even listen to it because I looked at the basic information that they put out about what he was going to cover, and I kind of knew. However, after it was done, and I went to see what the whole thing kind of looked like, and I saw the picture of him speaking and the background, the colors, the way everything is situated, it's sending a message. Now, in my community post, as I said above, you can go to the community, and the first one is a picture of him giving this speech tonight, if you can call it that. Frankly, what it actually was an ultimatum, as I've said in the title above. Now, is he coming up with all these ultimatums and all these accusations on his own? Well, I'm sure a lot of it is his, but he's being told what to say, and he's being told by people like Obama, like the CIA, the FBI, the Department of State, et cetera, et cetera. That's where all of this is coming from. He's just the vocal mouthpiece for this, although he believes most of this, and that's why he was chosen, and he's very easy to manipulate at this point. He's definitely no leader, okay? But at any rate, so when I saw the picture, and if you all haven't seen it, you need to go look at it, or we'll see what the address looks like. Basically, it's all red with a little bit of black in the background, and he's standing at the podium and delivering his diktats. Well, back in the 60s, there was a social scientist by the name of Marshall McLuhan. And that's where the second half of my title above comes from. The medium is the message. It almost doesn't matter what they say. It's what the medium is like that they used to say what they say. The medium is the message. Ladies and gentlemen, the medium in this case, when you look at this picture and you see the background and you see all of that it wells up inside of you, you will know what this is about. This is evil incarnate. We've been dealing with a lot of crazy things in this nation and across the world for many decades. But most of it remained under the radar. We knew it was there, but they didn't push it. They didn't promulgate the evil in the open. Oh, we were fooled by going to wars that we shouldn't have and those kinds of things. But I'm talking about, really getting the people to come along with some evil, evil things. And of course, going to unjust wars is evil. But I want to concentrate on kind of another aspect of that. And that is that they needed to get to the point where the evil that they have within them, that they wanted to uncover it and promulgate it and not just encourage it, but almost force it on us, which is exactly what's happened. And I could give you a lot of examples. You could talk about, R versus W, if you can read between the lines. I'm not going to say some of this here, but that the situation with the child problem that we have with them taking children, the problem with sacrifice, with organ transfers, with sex changes, with all of that. Again, I want to be careful about how I talk about it here because of that situation. See, we're being prepped to beg for their... Yeah. I'm not going to go there right now. Okay, so most of you should know that they have to tell you what they're going to do before they do it. And that has to do with something that happened in the 3rd chapter of Genesis. But at any rate, what we're seeing right now is what Isaiah talked about. And it wasn't just to do with sodomy and that type of thing. And sodomy, well, I'm not going to get into the particulars of that. I'll just say it this way. Isaiah said that in the last days, their sin shall be as Sodom, they hide it not. In other words, they do it in the open. They don't keep it, underneath so that it doesn't affect the population at large. They push the entire agenda and they're proud of it. Does that sound familiar? What's that? The pride. They're proud of it. The pride. They're proud of their evil, of their debauchery, of their degeneracy. And I could talk about it in lots worse terms than that. They're forcing it out on you. And if you don't accept it, and if you don't go along with their new rights, forget about the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in the context of, the Bill of Rights and of the scriptures, the perfect law of liberty. No, Now rights are defined as you can mutilate people. You can force them to take something that they don't want. You can be forced to bring people in and live amongst you without your consent. You can be forced to have boys pretend to be girls and girls pretend to be boys. You can push what's that MAPs. Again, I don't want to use the actual words, but look that up as an acronym. All of these evil things are coming about, and the normal relationships between people are being destroyed, are being ignored, are being castigated. Man-woman relationship out the door. Now it's rape. To ask a woman out for a date, it's sexual predation, right? They've changed the rules, and Isaiah said that too. And in those days, they will think to change times and laws, and you're seeing that. And Biden getting up tonight and doing it in the manner that he did, in the environment he did, in the background message, the medium is the message. In what he did tonight, they told us, the IC, the intelligence community, the NWO, the UN, all those bad organizations, which I could name here, okay, which are, and they're somewhat separate. It's not a monolithic thing, but so many of these things are promulgating evil, and you should know that by now. The changing of your DNA, read between the lines. I'm not going to get into any details on that. All of that, here we are. And so this pageant tonight, this show was to tell you exactly who's in charge, and that they have no respect for God, as a matter of fact, or anything to do with human morals and decency. It's all about what they declare now. They have their Tower of Babel. They have killed God. And now you have to bow down to them. That's how this is going. I don't want to point at any particular group. Let's see who this is here. Fox Mulder. There are a lot of different ones, and they all have different agendas, but they all kind of coalesce into the end result, which is the destruction of mankind, which I've talked about now for a very long time. So I'm not going to get into the particulars of Biden's diktats tonight and his calling everybody who doesn't agree with him a domestic violent extremist, domestic terrorists, all of that. That's just Marxist ways of shutting down anybody who has another opinion. And in fact, what he's done now is he has violated his oath that he took to the Constitution of the United States. He's violated it, as has almost everybody else up there, okay? Or over there, I guess I should say. They're liars, deceivers, murderers, thieves. And as I explained the other day, they're not really worried about what's happening here or what's happening here. Where are we? Right there, pointing backwards. The real target of destruction, of the real objective of destruction, is you. And that's what he said tonight. If you disagree with him, if you don't want to go along with him, if you think that you want to say that the selection process was not above board, you're an enemy. You're an enemy of the state. If you believe in the right to self-defense and the freedom of speech, you are an enemy of the state. They've declared it now, and they're going to move on it. One of the interesting things that the Last Refuge, the conservative treehouse, does, and it's you'll have to go to the link in the description box, but you can also go to my community post, not the Biden picture, but the next one down. And I have some excerpts from his article talking about two of the people who, well, first of all, there's the the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence that is really being run by the intelligence community. It's really there to put its rubber stamp of approval on anything that these evil, wicked intelligence agencies want to do. The the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, SSCI. And he makes an issue that the two main now there are a bunch of people on there. I mean, on that committee, the Gang of Eight they call it. But two of the people, I mean, he names a lot of them, but two of them he puts a great deal of responsibility on for the situation that this country is in trouble for right now, and where we're headed. And he names them Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell. Please go read this thing. I think it's very important for you to see. Yeah, Brandon has been a problem for a long time. He actually has, and we've let him get away with it. The problem with this is that, this weighs on us. Most of us are responsible for this thing being where it is because we haven't stood up against it. Okay, let me just talk about a few other things. You know that I don't have a whole lot of trust in the vote. Okay. I know it's manipulated. I already know that. And I also know that when you vote, you're saying that you're giving your assent, your agreement to the system, however it turns out. And I understand that. There's a problem with the vote. However, just putting this out there, we are supposed to use all lesser means available to us to call the unrighteous and the evil to repentance and to try to fix things. We are supposed to use all lesser means. Going to talk to your congressman, your senators, going to your county commissioners, going to your state governor, calling the senators and representatives in Congress, even talking to the president, going to demonstrations, and of course that's illegal now. You do that and they say that you're well, it's not quite illegal, but it's looked down upon. They're always setting people up so that, they say that you can't go and disagree with the government on any number of issues. That dissent now is treasonous. It's criminal. But at any rate, unless you're BLM or Antifa, those kinds of things, right? The point is, I know that voting is iffy. But if we're going to use all lesser means to bring this about, I'm going to suggest to you that you use this tool of all lesser means and that you get out. And again, I understand the problem with the voting. I'm not just saying this because I think it's going to fix it. What I'm saying is you have to make a witness against the evil. Because if you try to take action prior to pointing out the evil that's there, then a lot of things that are going to happen will fall back on you, which will probably happen anyway. But I think you understand what I'm saying. It used to be, for instance, when police officers were in the field and they had to arrest somebody or deal with a suspect, the use of force requirements were that you use all lesser means to try to control the situation. All right? You don't go straight to deadly force. You try to use the lesser means that are available to you to control the situation. Now, there's some judgment in that, but I think you understand again what I'm saying. So what I'm saying here is maybe we should bite the bullet, even if we don't trust the voting system, and use it as a lesser means to try to say we're not putting up with this. What Biden said today, the types of things that he said about Christians, conservatives, etc., Republicans, basically. And I don't like Republicans. I don't care for them. Most of them are just, they're just not worth the time because they really don't do anything, especially the ones in office. But what he said tonight, and what he's been saying for a long time, what his press secretary said the other day, and all the things that they've been talking about how evil we are because we don't want to castrate our kids, we don't want to give them hormone therapy, we don't want to force medical procedures on people, we don't want to go to wars, we don't want to we want to be able to pick, we want to be able to select in a proper way those who are going to be in positions in the halls of power. And I could get into more detail, but again, I think you see what I'm talking about. We can't fix the broken system, do the love, okay? It's done. I said the other day, we can't usurp their evil system. That's not what we can be about. We can't usurp it, but we need to testify against it. We need to set up our own system and testify against them. Don't try to usurp the evil system, especially now. There's no way you'll be able to do that, okay? I don't want to be quite that fatalistic, Walter, saying it's over. But you know, I've said for a long time that the United States is ripe for destruction, and we're doing it to ourselves. Our leaders are doing it to us. I mean, these agreements have been made a long time ago. I've talked about these things that were talked about and agreed to back in the 1800s about how to take down the United States, and that was before the, well, it was before the Civil War too, but also afterwards. Civil War was just a blip on the screen compared to what they're going to do now. And I could get into all the international situation, but I want to concentrate on what we saw tonight with a few other comments. So again, use all lesser means. Go ahead and go out there and do this voting. It might not help, but at least you're making a witness, okay? And I think that's important. All lesser means before, I mean, they're going to come after us, okay? They're going to try to say that we're doing it. When they've done all this, they've allowed their people to burn cities, kill people, run them over with cars, set federal buildings on fire, invade the Capitol building, set off all sorts of bad things. And yet, because we don't want to bow down to their evil, we are the domestic terrorists. We don't want to be unified with them. Thank God. This is the dividing time. You agreeing with them on all of these things. By the way, down in Utah, I got word, I should have put it in the description box, that this, I believe it's this Saturday, in Happy Valley, Provo, Utah, one of the bastion counties, Utah County, of Mormonism. Guess what? They're having a drag queen celebration. And they're inviting all the families to come and watch it. We're totally degenerate now. Totally. I've already talked about the conservative treehouse and some of my comments on that, which you again can see in the community tab above. We'll go to the post. I also want to talk, I just want to mention this just real quick. I've noticed something, even though, and I'm going to talk about Alex Jones here and his associates. They've been talking about it, and I don't want to say they haven't at all. They have. But the primary attack that they make is on the Democrats. Now, sometimes you have to talk to the weakest link in the chain to help them to understand. And to point the finger at the Democrats, that's something that people can kind of latch onto and say, oh, okay, yeah, those guys. All right? But it's not just the Democrats. Again, it's the intelligence community behind it. The evil, dangerous intelligence community. Yeah, we can talk about the Mossad, we can talk about MI6, we can talk about the CIA, etc., you know. But they're all the same. Read the Conservative Treehouse in the description box below. My point with AJ is that he's really not strong enough, in my opinion. And it's been a while since I've really listened to him closely, but in my opinion, he hasn't been hard enough on the IC, the intelligence community, just like he wasn't hard on Trump on this whole thing with the magic jab. All right? Yeah, I know he's just done that, but it shouldn't have taken this long. How many people have suffered because he refused to call out Trump, right? Well, it's the same thing with the IC. All right, and I might want to talk a little bit just for a moment about some of the people that I've told you you should probably follow to understand what's going on the world stage, the geopolitical situation, especially the war in Ukraine, and now the war that's about ready to start with China over Taiwan. Yeah, that's going to happen. Again, it's not China and Russia that are the issue. It's you and me. It's us that they're after. Okay, to take our sustenance, to take our substance, to take our treasure, and to take our blood. To experiment on us, to steal our children, and all of that entails. Okay? So it doesn't matter if they start these wars because the destruction is what they want anyway. You saw it tonight in the picture with Biden in front of all that red. The medium is the message. He's bringing hell to you under what basically is socialism, Marxism, or just say authoritarianism. Evil reigns. They said it tonight in illustration form. But talking about these people that I've told you about, the new Atlas, that's Brian Berletic, Alexander Mercouris, Alex Christoforo, the Duran, Jacob Drazen, all of these people, okay, that I've mentioned to follow on the situation with Ukraine, Colonel Douglas McGregor, etc. I've told you that they're giving you the straight scoop. The major problem I see with all of their presentations, and not that they're wrong, but they think that the geopolitical and military maneuvers being done by the nations, Russia, China, United States, the United Kingdom, that this is just natural, normal, in a way, competition amongst the nations. And that's how they analyze everything. They don't understand, for instance, why the EU is so bent on not taking Russian oil, supposedly because of the sanctions against Russia, like that's going to hurt them. We had Biden shut down all of our oil, and now they're telling us that they want us to use electrical vehicles when in California the grid can't even charge all those vehicles, and they've been told not to charge their vehicles. Okay, and we could get into all that, and I know most of you understand what I'm saying as far as that goes. But you see what's really happening here. It's not just normal competition amongst the nations. There's a little of that going on because all of them want to be top dog when this thing's done. China's tried to pull away from the WEF and the New World Order. Apparently Putin has, although there's some arguments that could be made that he's just doing their bidding, and I understand that, but I think that he's for real. But he has done some things that make me wonder sometimes. The point is that you are the objective, your destruction, your enslavement, and your destruction. The end of your posterity is what they're about. Okay? So what Brian Berletic of the New Atlas, Alexander Mercouris, the Duran, Douglas McGregor, Drazen, all of these people don't get is that this is all deliberate to destroy mankind. They don't get that. Or if they do, they don't talk about it. But I'll say it up front right here. That's why all of this is going on. Shutting down your food supply, shutting down your power, shutting down your mobility, demanding that you take things into your body that you shouldn't have to take and that you should be able to control. The changing of what they're doing in the schools to the kids and in the hospitals, and that children can make decisions on whether or not they're male or female and have the appropriate surgery to change it, or chemical processes or whatever. But the school can't give an aspirin for a headache. You know what I'm saying, and I could get taken down for some of this, but I got to speak forthrightly to some extent. All right, so I think that although all those people understand the tactics, the strategy, the inner workings, I really like Brian Berletic, for instance, and he talks about what the evil people in D.C., for instance, are doing to start these wars, and that the only people that really pay for it are you. both in your blood and your treasure. And of course, the victims in these countries like Iraq, Afghanistan, we could go on and on, Somalia, whatever, you know. Um, but this time, there's going to be if they continue down this road, there's going to be massive death and destruction. And they probably won't experience or suffer any of that. So that's why I say there's no problem with going and casting a vote this time, to be a witness and to use all lesser means. Okay? If you're watching my Twitter account, I have close communication. I'm not saying I talk to them offline or anything like that, but there are some retired military officers on there, law enforcement officers, etc., that can plainly see where this is going. And they're saying you've got to get ready, and that you've got to prepare, you've got to train, and I'm throwing this in there as well. You have to do all lesser means. Get out there and try to change this thing with a vote. I don't have a lot of faith in it, and I know the problems about it. Okay, I understand all that, and people are going to say, "No, I'm done with it." I've said that, but we're at a situation here now where we have to do the testimony. We have to put our lesser means at work, because the next step, ladies and gentlemen, is not going to be easy. It's going to be dirty. And whether they start it with false flags and blame it on us, or if there's some stupid person out there who thinks that they ought to go and do something that they shouldn't, take matters into their own hands alone without any competent county, state authority behind them. I understand there are problems there, but discretion is the better part of valor, and you have to do things from a position of strength. So the next step will be whether they do a false flag on us, blame us for something we didn't do, or find somebody to do it, which is still a false flag, right? Or some crazy do it, or they'll just come and start attacking us. Basically, the IRS thing with the 87,000 new supposed agents, they're not agents, they're revenuers, is a step in that direction. The ATF going out and taking things from people that were legal, 2 months ago, and now they just make an edict that it's illegal, right? That's tyranny. And those that don't comply are going to be met by force from the government. And we need to stand up for our neighbors, and that's why I say that's when it's going to get ugly. So if we can use a lesser means to deal with this now, even with all the problems that has, with the dishonesty, et cetera, et cetera. I'm selecting my words carefully here. Even with all of that, we need to use the lesser means if we get there. It could very well happen, the way things are being set up right now, that the midterms won't even occur. Biden has set up a thing right now where he could declare a national emergency, martial law, and cancel the elections and leave things as they are and come after all of you. And if you don't think they won't do that or they can't do that, you're mistaken. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. Somebody asked me, who do I vote for? Do a write-in. All right? Do a write-in. The point is that you make your voice heard. Do a write-in. Put your own name in there. That's all I've got for you tonight. This is serious. They have set the stakes. They have set the parameters. They have made their demands. And if you don't cave to their debauchery, to what they call freedom, which is not freedom at all, because they want to take away your freedom. They say, the conservatives, and I don't like Trump, that. The Trumpsters, they want to take away your freedoms. Well, what freedom? To kill your kid, to change their sex, to, give them different drugs to, you see what I'm saying? The real rights: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, the right of speech, the right to protect yourself, the right to not have your property stolen from you by the government without probable cause, etc. All those things are the real rights. The right to worship as you see fit. Those are the real rights, not the substitute ones that they're putting out there that are destructive, that are designed to destroy you and your family and your loved ones. All right? They're serious. And that whole presentation tonight, remember Marshall McLuhan, you can look him up. Marshall McLuhan. The medium is the message. They're telling you hell is here, and they're going to force it on you. And if you don't go along with it, they'll kill you. That's what that was all about. All right. I'm going to go. I've got some other things to do. Prep, pray, stay out of the way. When I say stay out of the way, I mean, defend yourselves, but don't go looking for trouble. That's not how this is going to work. Without a competent state authority backing you, you're just making yourself a target. Keep your eyes on the horizon, your ears to the ground, situational awareness on high. Read the signs of the times. Make preparations. Have a contingency plan. Don't think that you're going to be able to defend yourself in your home. And I've said this before. You will not succeed. You must have a defensive perimeter out from your home to some extent, and your neighbors. You got to come up with a plan where that cordon, that security perimeter is out a pretty good distance. If they get to your home, it's over with. All right. It's a very sad day. This is going to be really interesting to watch everybody talking about this over the next few days. I don't see anybody coming to save us. Okay? We're on our own. And the balkanization, as I've talked about, they want to break up the United States the way they did Yugoslavia. Same sort of thing is coming. This is deliberate division, but it's a division where they're the tares that are being taken out of the wheat. That's really how this is going to be. So stand by honesty, integrity, love of God. And I know a lot of people say, well, you got to love God the way I love him. You got to understand God the way I do. No. It says that you're supposed to have an awe of God, a fear for him. The real Hebrew word is awe, is reverence. You may not understand what God is. As a matter of fact, the scriptures say you can't figure him out, okay? So the point is you have reverence for that. You have respect for his law that he has written in your hearts and minds. It's very obvious you don't want to do somebody else what you wouldn't want done to you. That's pretty easy to figure out. So there you have the two great commandments. Love God the best that you know how. Give him reverence. Ask him to show you the way. And do unto others as you would have them do unto you. There really isn't anything else. You do have the right to self-defense. But just understand that when it gets to that point, things get really dirty quick. And again, I pointed out my military and law enforcement friends on Twitter and elsewhere. They say, get ready. Train, prep. And when the time comes, hammer it out. Y'all take care. Out here for now.